This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I am Nishay Taylor. The Capitol Police Union is appealing to Congress to act urgently to ramp up security after Friday's deadly car attack. Now lawmakers are debating over how to better protect the so-called People's House and its occupants. NBC Jennifer Johnson has more.
Capitol police officers cheering on Officer Kenny Shaver as he left the hospital after surviving Friday's car attack that killed fellow officer William Evans. The incident came less than 3 months after rioters stormed the Capitol, which left Officer Brian Sicknick dead. On Sunday, the Capitol Police Union chair informed Congress several on the force want to quit, writing, "I've had many younger officers confide in me that they're actively looking at other agencies and departments right now." The force is urging swift action to increase security, asking those on the front line be included in any decisions. An outer perimeter security fence erected after the January riot was recently removed, and some Republicans say a second one should go too.
I think the permanent fencing should come down. I don't think it does the job. In fact, the fencing was right there when the car drove through.
But removing that fence will likely be delayed after 25-year-old Noah Green rammed his car into the officers and then hit a barrier. He was shot and killed after lunging at police with a knife. The FBI and others are still trying to determine the motive.
It does not appear to be terrorism related, but obviously we'll continue to investigate.
Flags are again flying at half-staff at the Capitol in honor of the 18-year veteran, as Evans' fellow officers appeal to lawmakers for better protection. Jennifer Johnson, NBC News, Washington.
Unlike the January 6th insurrection, lawmakers were not at the Capitol when Friday's attack occurred. They had left for the Easter holiday. Firefighters have been working tirelessly to contain the fire that began in Medora Thursday afternoon. As of today, the North Dakota Forest Service is reporting 85% containment of the fire. Initial reports estimated the fire to be much larger than it was. It is now being measured at nearly 2,300 acres. Forest Service says firefighters are continuing to try to reach 100% control of the fire, but are having difficulties with the terrain. Two different fires broke out in Grand Forks, prompting local firefighters to have a short turnaround to cover them. Valley News Team's Aaron Walling talked to the Grand Forks Fire Department about fighting those flames and the recent uptick in fires around the state.
It was an eventful Saturday for the Grand Forks Fire Department as they battled two different fires.
Training plays a big role in how we respond to fires and how we put them out. Crews yesterday responded to two fires, one at 2 o'clock and then one at 9 o'clock at night. What we don't see is behind the scenes work that we have to do as a fire department to get our apparatus, our personnel, and our tools ready for the next fire.
The first fire took place close to 2 p.m. where crews fought a blaze in a kitchen area. There was over $50,000 worth in damage and 2 cats survived. However, a dog did die as a result of the fire. The second fire was after 9 p.m. This home also had $50,000 worth of damage. Crews were able to contain the fire that burned on the backside and the attic. There has been a recent uptick in fires across North Dakota, as crews have been out fighting structure and grass fires. Carlson says that grass fires provide a bigger challenge to face compared to structure ones.
It has a lot to do with Mother Nature. The wind can pick up, and that grass fire that could be contained is now out of control. So resources are usually taxed pretty easily with a pretty big grass fire.
In Grand Forks, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
Here in Cass County, there is a burn restriction in place. And tomorrow evening, the Dilworth Fire Department will be conducting a burn training exercise. If weather permits, the exercise will take place in the 200 block of Adams Avenue. Residents are asked to use caution when traveling in the area. More than 100 million Americans are now vaccinated, but there are concerns of a possible new surge. Sam Brock breaks it down for us.
This weekend, Easter celebrations come with cautionary words.
Please be careful.
Right now, I'm scared.
Health experts warning of a fourth wave. But how would this version stack up to past surges? First up, cases, which are rising nationally, but miles from the winter surge that peaked at over 300,000 in one day. Right now, the weekly average is 64,000 infections a day. It's about an 8% bump from a week ago.
This is about where the peak of the summer wave was last summer. So there are a lot of infections happening right now, but it's nothing like the horrible surge that we saw over the holiday. But still a lot of infections, more than 1,000 Americans dying every day. We are not out of the woods.
There appears to be a strong geographic component. Of the 27 states on the rise, the vast majority are in the Midwest and Northeast, especially Michigan and New England. On the flip side, states in the South are dropping, many without mask mandates, including Texas. Florida is one of the few exceptions, up around 14%, but not the explosion of cases expected with spring break and the nation's largest count of new variants. Health experts say warmer weather keeping people outdoors, combined with lower rates of testing, might explain the southern trends. Which brings us to a second critical measure, hospitalizations. There's a modest 2% uptick in weekly average, but the 34,000 right now are about a quarter of the all-time high over the winter, as a seismic shift in who is getting sick appears underway.
We do see that the average age of hospitalizations from COVID has shifted to a younger demographic, and that's national.
In Florida, a huge percentage of the people are 65 or older, but many of those are vaccinated. The median age now of someone contracting COVID-19 is 35 years old. And in Miami-Dade County, hospitalizations from the virus have dropped 10% in 2 weeks. In Massachusetts, the Department of Health says people under 40 now make up the majority of new cases. As for coronavirus deaths, those are dipping slightly, about 850 a day, off a high of almost 4,400 in January, with fatalities in nursing homes falling dramatically. Right as vaccines inject unbridled hope, health experts say countries like Israel and the UK saw cases plummet when vaccinations reached about 30% of the population. The U.S. just weeks away from that, with 1% of all Americans getting a dose every day.
The citywide mask mandate may have expired last week, but Fargo Public Schools will continue to require students and staff to wear them to continue slowing the spread of the coronavirus. School officials stated they are following guidance from Fargo Cass Public Health. Surgical and cloth masks are acceptable, but bandanas and neck gaiters are not an approved form of face covering to be used in Fargo schools. As COVID restrictions become more lax and people start to venture out, 2 Fargo men are working to keep the streets safe from drunk drivers. Valley News team's Courtney Lockey shows us how their creative idea has led to thousands of safe rides.
This is the Boozy Bus.
It's a lifesaver. The party never ends and you're always going to have a good time.
What started as a fun idea between 2 friends and a good deal on a van is now keeping Fargo streets a little safer.
Something that we saw when we were on spring break and visiting other colleges, that they had shuttle services and other ride services different than Uber and Lyft.
Fargo is one of the drunkest cities in America. With that follows the statistics of drinking and driving.
Xavier and Britton's goal? Keep drunk drivers off the roads. So far, Boozy Bus has given more than 5,000 rides. All you have to do is give them a call. The bus seats 12 people, so you don't have to break up the group, and
when you're leaving a party, you don't want to stop partying, so you hop in the Boozy Bus and you keep partying.
So can we get some music in here?
Yeah. Do you want me to bump it?
Yeah.
We try to stay on like the busiest roads, so like Broadway, 10th Avenue, and University.
That's the route they take Thursdays through Saturdays. Xavier and Britton say this is only the beginning.
My hope is to reach every university across the country. It's a big problem in every state of drinking and driving, especially with college students.
The mission continues for the 2 who just bought a second van. They're hoping to partner with local universities and downtown businesses to make sure anyone who needs a safe ride home finds one. In Fargo, Courtney Lockey, Valley News Live.
Boozy Bus costs between $2 to $5 per person. To learn more about how you can book a ride, download the VNL News app, or you can find the story on our homepage. Coming up on Valley News Live at 10, the U.S. hit a record milestone in the number of vaccine doses going into the arms of Americans. And it was a beautiful day today, but summer is up next to fill us in on how much rain is expected this week. Stay with us.